Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report is your preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda and an update from your Oshkosh City Manager. Your hosts, Emily Mikowski of Oshkosh Community Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on your City Manager's Report. I'm your host, Emily Mikowski, as always joined by your City Manager, Mark Roloff. And this show gives you a look at some of the most current things going on here in Oshkosh, as well as a preview of the upcoming City Council meeting agenda. So we'll go ahead and dive into our first half of the show, today's hot topics here in Oshkosh, take a quick break, and then dive into the City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, September 9th, 2014. So Mark, thanks as always for joining us today.
Great to be here, Emily.
So first up on our list, something really current just happened yesterday afternoon, which is why we're recording this show on a Friday, is the Oshkosh Aviation Business Park groundbreaking. And you were in attendance, Mark, and maybe you want to just tell us a little bit about how it went.
Oh, I'm very excited about yesterday. It was a culmination of a lot of work from a lot of different people. So many different governmental entities, our business community working with us, primarily aviation community, but a real highlight of collaboration. So much collaboration that they were able to arrange a flyover for it as well.
It was so cool, too.
It really was. But Chamco, our Industrial Development Corporation, their aviation committee was the ones who really started talking about this. And they saw the value of it. County Board Supervisor, County Board Chair, Dave Albrecht, and members of the Aviation Committee had talked about this. They had talked about this to me back in 2008, that they had this dream. County Executive Harris had been putting things in his budget, but they just weren't enough to get the whole thing done. So we eventually came together and said, look, if we jointly own this, I think we can get something done. Rebecca Clayfish, our Lieutenant Governor, was there yesterday. She's been a big advocate for aviation, has been working with Meredith Yeager with Aero Innovate at the university to work on promoting aviation in the state in general. And I think the state sees this being an example of a real great model for what can be done with aviation. We've got a great facility in Whitman Regional Airport. So we were successful, and we've talked about this before. We received a $2 million grant from the Economic Development Administration, and that's kind of the seed money for the project. The infrastructure there is going to be $4.6 million. So $2 million goes a long way. Our TIF district is going to cover the rest, but it also is going to help free up some additional money as the TIF develops and grows. We can also put some money towards a proposed aviation accelerator. So we're really excited that we're going to be able to have that potential, which would allow small aviation-related ideas to become businesses eventually. And that's part of recognizing aviation as one of our key industries that we want to target, and also the potential that we have to succeed in aviation because we have Whitman Regional Airport and because we have available land nearby the airport where you can have what's called through the fence agreement with the airport. And so the airport has been a great partner with us, along with so many other people. But East Central Regional Planning Commission assisted us in getting the grant in the first place. So a lot of great partnerships to make this all happen.
And collaboration, like you said, was a huge asset in this instant. There's so many different people involved. And actually, after the groundbreaking ceremony, we had a chance to talk to Jennifer Jensen from the Whitman, who played a large role in this project and the groundbreaking itself. So let's go ahead and see what Jennifer from the Whitman had to say.
It's a city and county joint project, so part of the land is city land, part of it's county land, and the county land is going to be leased just like any other property on the airport. So we've already got our first tenant, DeShannon Aviation, who have moved on site as of this month, and will be one of the first ones to turn ground here once the infrastructure's in. And we're in discussions with a half a dozen other companies as well to try to get them in here.
And so like you said before, they're already finding success. You know, there's so much potential. One person's already committed, and they are, talking to so many other people already.
So many people recognize Oshkosh with aviation, and I don't think we've even tapped into it. The fact that Jennifer mentioned that there are other businesses that have already expressed an interest just on even before we turned the shovel of dirt, which
That's true.
the timing was perfect, even before we turned the shovel, we had people interested just knowing that something like this would be available. Part of it's going to be we're going to need to discipline ourselves so that we use it for aviation, especially the county side, which is adjacent to the airport. But bringing different like-minded folks in aviation together to share ideas and work on ideas, that is really what's going to make the difference. And the fact that we had a great turnout, a lot of these events, you don't see a lot of people there, but we had 75 people who were genuinely interested in aviation as an industry that were here. We had a representative from the Department of Defense, who the Department of Defense has given us $1.6 million for the region to take a look at what we can do to work with the economy following some of the Oshkosh Corp layoffs. But a big part of that is taking a look at the aviation cluster. And in coming weeks, you're going to see us talking about targeting some specific niches within the aviation industry. And hopefully those types of businesses will be going out to the business park in the future.
Yes, it's great to hear about these positive things going on here in Oshkosh and always dealing with collaboration. I know that's one of our favorite words, you and I, Mark, is collaboration. So it was excellent to have all these people get together for this groundbreaking. And we were so lucky to have the weather clear up for us just for that little window of time. So everyone was happy about that.
That
too.
was close. The skies were pretty dark to
Yes.
the north, but we lucked out.
Yes. Another update here in the city actually is on Sawyer Street. We've talked about this in episodes prior, are the bike lanes that are going on. Actually, they're being painted right now. We've heard a little bit on social media, some mixed reviews on bike lanes in general, but even in the Sawyer Street ones. So maybe you want to tell us a little bit about how that's been going so far, that update.
Well, the first thing that we need to talk about is that we've developed a bike and pedestrian plan to eventually create a circulation route throughout the city. One of the things that our Bike and Ped Committee, our Plan Commission, our Sustainability Board, and the Council have recognized is we need to become a more bike-friendly city. And that goes with pros and cons with that, because there are legitimate cons to it. Part of it is making space in the right-of-way for bicycles to go. And we recognize that Sawyer Street was one of those areas. Sawyer Street is a fairly major collector street in the city of Oshkosh, but it's fairly limited. We know where it starts and we know where it ends because of the geography of the area. But we recognize that in order to accommodate bikes in this very important area, we have 2 high schools along the Sawyer Street corridor. We have Titan Stadium. We have residential areas. It's nearby the university. There's a lot of things there that need to be connected. And if we're going to encourage people to use bicycles and encourage pedestrian use, we need to get the bikes off the sidewalks as much as we can, but then there's conflicts with, as you pointed out, the vehicles. So we've repainted it. It's a tough paint job because the paint job we put in there in Sawyer in the past was a pretty good paint job, so we had to paint over, and it's obvious where we painted over. And I would say that if anybody says it's confusing out there, I would say they're right. I drove out there just the other night and said, boy, I really recognize what everybody's talking about. That will wear off as time goes on. So the short-term part, people are going to have to be a little more attentive as they're driving out there. For those who don't think we should be accommodating bicycles, I think we need to take a look at where we need to be in the future. And in the future, we do need to recognize that in order to make ourselves a more bicycle-friendly community, we need to accommodate bicycles. We allow bicycles on sidewalks, but that really isn't the right place to have bicycles. We need to have them in the street or designated bike lanes. We don't have enough right-of-way in our roads to accommodate a separate bike lane from off the street. We just don't have enough right-of-way. We got to fit it within the road, but in the curb, as it were.
Which kind of leads it back to that term we talked about as the road diet, right?
It's a road diet. It's called a share-o, where you kind of share. Both of those terms are used, and we've narrowed the lane to 1 lane of traffic before you get to the intersection, but there are still turning lanes at Witzel. There's still a middle lane, a dual turning lane in the middle on Sawyer. So we're going to be able to accommodate those turning movements, just not the same as we did before. But now we have a dedicated bike lane, which was really the key element here.
Especially in the location that this street is at, like you said, to the university, to schools, everything. So hopefully it will be a positive outcome here.
People just have to get used to it.
Yes. Our next topic here are some another update to Oshkosh. What do you know is some more not more, but some new welcoming signs that are going to be going in Oshkosh, part of the beautification process, correct?
This is part of the Taking Root project that the city and the Community Foundation and other folks who have really wanted to work on beautification, making the community more welcoming, and Welcome to Oshkosh signs were a big part of that. Unfortunately, there were some limitations we had with that on locations because so many state highways are there. So we've gotten through that bureaucracy, and actually we had to identify some locations on city right-of-way that are not on the state right-of-way. So these beautiful signs that a group of folks involved with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Community Foundation, our Parks Department, as well as people that have been involved in just general beautification projects throughout the city. Those folks are there. So suddenly just turned night, and that's what it'll look like at night. So there is going to be some backlighting to some of these signs.
Very nice.
They're going to be very attractive, and they're going to be located at all 5 intersections with Highway 41. So on the north side, it'll be Highway 76, Jackson Street, Highway 45, Algoma, Highway 20, as we get to the west side, Highway 21, Oshkosh, Amro Avenue, 9th Avenue, and South Park Avenue. You'll see something, some will be in the roundabouts, some will be on the side. The one over on South Park is actually going to be set back, but as you're coming in, whether it's from 41 or 44, you'll be able to see these Welcome to Oshkosh signs. And we want to let people know you've arrived, you are here in Wisconsin's Event City, and this is a way to do it. So we're real excited that, again, another issue of collaboration with Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Community Foundation, the city, as well as just other people genuinely interested in community beautification. It's funded through the Taking Root program. The city's participated in that. The foundation has matched monies and gotten other private donors on top of that. So it really is a true financial and logistical collaboration.
Excellent. And it really kind of is a little bit of, Oshkosh pride too, It's kind of almost, to me, I'm a little sort of new to Oshkosh, and it's kind of surprising that we don't have any welcome signs like that. So it's exciting. It's been talked about for a while, as you said, and we're hoping within the next month or so those will be going up.
Yep, you'll see them very soon.
Looking forward to it. Our last item on our updates here is with the liquor license update. We talked about this last CMR. It was on the council meeting agenda. What's the update since then? How many are available currently now?
Well, there are 3 liquor licenses available due to licenses that lapsed, and the council decided to take those away. And after discussion, the council decided we're going to give it a few months for people to think about this, because a lot of times people come up and say, well, I'd like to do a project, but there's no liquor license. We want people to have time to think about this. Call the city clerk's office to get on the list, fill out whatever information's there. And it's really to get your act together, so if you want to apply for a liquor license, you can put your idea in the best possible light. We're going to accept applications through the end of the year, and then council will review them after the first of the year. They typically invite people to come in and make a presentation. There's no guarantee that the council is going to award all of them, though. That
was going to be my next question, is so we have 3 liquor licenses. If only 3 people were to apply, are they guaranteed those licenses?
No, absolutely not. There's no right to these liquor licenses. Okay. They're really at the discretion of the community. And if the council feels that these aren't appropriate for what they want, they could choose to issue 1, 2, 3, or none at all. And I think part of it is there's a lot of areas that are still getting redeveloped in the downtown. Areas that previously did not have liquor licenses, like along the river. We already have one reserved for the Marion Road area. So the council could decide that they may want to reserve a couple more. And if they choose to do that, then we would save them for something down the road that might be more appropriate to meet our long-term economic goals. So stay tuned, but meanwhile, if you're interested, you just contact the city clerk's office and you can get your application package put together.
Excellent. So that's going to conclude the first portion of our show. We're going to go ahead and lead into Question Mark now, where viewers have the chance to ask their city manager anything they like about the city of Oshkosh, and he'll answer it right here on the show. So let's go ahead and take a look at this week's Question Mark. right, Mark. So the question is, what's the latest in the field operations facility project? It would not be an episode of City Manager's Report without this topic. So what's the latest and greatest?
Well, I'll say, people might say, what's field operations facility? We did change that up a little bit because a lot of people ask central garage, but we get that question asked a lot, especially now that the old central garage building is down. This is just some of the footage that we have that we, just before we finally tore the last of it down. The latest is the last of the garage is gone, and we are beginning to grade the area for the next part of the garage itself, the storage garage. But we've also laid some concrete just this past week that will be the location for the new yard waste drop-off site.
Right.
It's still on Idaho right now. People will still go to that, but probably the next CMR will be telling people where to go for the new place. But we're working on that right now, and that's probably the most recent development that people will be interested in. So stay tuned, and we'll let you know when we need to move the yard waste facility.
Yeah, so as usual, lots of progress being made, and you drive past one week, you come back the next week, and it still looks completely different. So I encourage you to get out there and take a look.
Yep, we're still on schedule. Our revised date is February, and I think we're going to hit that now.
Excellent. So if you'd like to send a question to Mark for CMR, you can email it to questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of CMR. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll dive into the City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, September 9th. We'll be right back on City Manager's Report.
Stay connected with Oshkosh Community Media Services and the City of Oshkosh. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube. Sign up for e-updates. More resources, including video, at OshkoshCommunityMedia.org. Oshkosh Community Media is your media on your schedule. Connect with us today.
Want to know what's happening in local government? Stay in the know with City of Oshkosh government meetings, live on TV, City Cable 10, online at OshkoshCommunityMedia.org, and on Community Radio WOCT 101.9 FM. Miss the live coverage? No problem. Catch replays on City Cable 10. Stream online from OshkoshCommunityMedia.org or visit youtube.com/Oshkosh Community Media Services.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report, and thanks again for joining us. Now it's that time of the show. We're going to go ahead and dive into the Oshkosh Common Council agenda for Tuesday, September 9th, 2014. So Mark, let's go ahead and get started. First off, there's a proclamation for the Well Oshkosh Task Force. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that, what exactly it entails.
This is a collaboration that was initiated by a lot of our healthcare agencies, recognizing that the importance of healthy communities, healthy employees makes for just a healthy community in general. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the healthcare providers, along with major employers, decided that they wanted to get designated a well city. And that requires the 20 of the largest employers in town, representing a certain percentage of the population, are committed to meeting certain standards. The city of Oshkosh was one of those participants, and we were designated, we got a silver designation as a well city, or a well employer. Mm-hmm. To get the well city designation, we needed 20 different groups, 20 different organizations, employers, the university, I believe, Oshkosh Corporation, and just a lot of other larger groups. We all committed to that, and we were just recently announced that we were designated. I think we're one of only 3 cities in the state that have been designated a well city.
Excellent.
And so I think the idea behind this is to recognize the efforts of everybody that participated in the task force, and then educate everybody else in the community that to focus on health and wellness as something that's worthwhile goal for everybody.
And to continue that too, now that we've achieved that level.
Yeah, we got to keep it up. Not
Yes.
just we just can't talk about it anymore.
Our next item we want to talk about is approving conditional use permit for an exception to the downtown overlay district on North Main Street. What exactly is this for?
Well, this is for what's known as the Mainview apartment building. The old timers tell me that it's called the Ralph Hotel. This is right on the 500 block of Main Street. And the Housing Authority, which now owns it as a public housing project, they are doing some renovations inside and outside. And they worked with our Landmarks Commission to bring back some historically significant architecture. In this case, it's a lot of those old awnings that used to be over the sidewalks that for a while we prohibited for a variety of reasons, but now old is cool, so we're starting to take a look at some of these things. And this is to allow the awnings to go over the sidewalk, which is technically the public right-of-way. That requires an exception to what our downtown overlay district allows, but we're allowing these things because we recognize that as long as they're maintained well, they can be safe for the community. That was a concern in the past. Right. I think we've taken care of that, but they just have that old-time nostalgia. Plus, from a practical standpoint, you go out onto the street, you're under an awning. If it's raining or snowing, you're protected from the elements, so it does have a practical side to it as well.
Definitely, kind of bring back some of that classic architecture a little bit.
It really does. It'll be a little bit of a 1930s nostalgic look to it. It'll be cool.
And is this going to be starting immediately now that it's approved?
Once it gets approved, I think the Housing Authority plans to work on this pretty quickly, I think before the winter sets in.
Wonderful. Our next item here, dealing with the Riverwalk, and it's actually related to another item on the agenda, is award partial bid to Lunda Construction for the boatworks portion of the Riverwalk, and it's $392,000. So what exactly is this one about?
Well, this all has to do with the whole idea we had out here, and we were trying to take advantage of some grants that were on the horizon. So the council actually did a partial bid award, and all the footage that we've been showing on previous shows was what was awarded up to date. But we didn't get the west side of that portion of the bridge and the island and the river walk done for this project until just now that we've been informed that we've got this grant. So you see that area that's circled there, and the bridge was going across to the island, on both sides of that island in the marina. Now the west side will be done. And what the grant is enabling us to do is to get a restroom and picnic shelter over in that area as well. And that's kind of an isolated area, so the advantage of it, if people can drive there, park there, and they can either bike or walk from the Boatworks property, or they can picnic there or use it as a launching pad too. They can go on a bike ride and come back there and have a lunch. There's restrooms there, so people aren't looking where to go to the bathroom. They'll have it all there, but you can see that there's been a lot of work done there.
Oh yeah.
And that brings up, so this was, we weren't exactly sure how we were going to do it until we knew we got the grant. Now we know we got the grant. This is a partial bid award. We had already bid this out.
Okay.
So this is just a matter of finally awarding it because we know we're going to do it.
Okay.
The second one is item 11 on the agenda, and that's technically a change order. And we had to be really creative to make sure we got this working because there's a lot of different rules and regulations, and we couldn't bid this out originally because we didn't have the grant. Now that we have the grant, we're doing a change order. And the change order is going to fund the shelter and the picnic area. We got a $350,000 grant. The change order is for another $250,000. So it's actually going to pay for more of the Riverwalk, not just for the shelter itself. So we're really excited about that. A lot of work done internally by our engineers, our community development staff, finance, legal, as well as our engineers outside and the DNR to help make this happen. So we're excited that we're going to be able to make this come to pass, and that this will get done by the end of the year.
That is so exciting, and just driving past it, you can definitely tell there's stuff going on out there, especially with that new bridge. Is there anything else left with this? I know you had mentioned possibly the possibility of a parking lot. The
parking lot is still in the plans. Unfortunately, the way the bidding rules are, we couldn't award the bid for the parking lot because there's a limit to how much we can do a change order for. A lot of logistics and timing. We still have some matching funds that we have that are actually we're going to use for the parking lot next year. We have to bid that out separately, but we're going to do that next year. And so by next summer, the parking lot will be done as well. But you'll be able to ride your bike down there and enjoy the park setting. The parking will be a little dicey for now, so just ride your bike and you'll be fine.
Wonderful. Well, we're looking forward to seeing the finished product out there. Our next item here is item number 7, amend 2014 CIP program for the Southwest Industrial Park project. And this is kind of more of a shuffling of funds type of deal, right?
It is, and part of it is the Southwest Industrial Park gets funded by land sales. But you have to put the money forward before you get reimbursed with the land sales. And we had a state trust fund loan that was going to be used for some downtown, some of the Riverwalk project, but actually we believe that the demand is going to start to pick up for land in the industrial park, and if we're not ready, we can't sell that land and we can't develop that land. So what we're going to do is move some money around from some of the TIF districts that we were going to borrow for, and we're actually going to put it over here. And it's going to do filling and grading of these sites so that they're ready to develop when it's time to develop. We're real excited that we're going to be able to do that. I can't say we got somebody imminent that's going to be going there, but we do need to get some filling and grading done so that when we're showing a site, it's ready. It's ready to turn the shovel. Shovel ready is the term. We want to make sure it's shovel ready for the future.
So getting it all set for development in a way, spending money to earn money, correct?
Exactly.
Okay. Our next item, item number 11, we already kind of breezed over with the Riverwalk updates. So moving on to item number 14 is a GoEDC update. So Mark, what's the latest update on that?
Real excited to talk about two things. Number one, we're going to begin the recruitment for an executive director, a chief executive officer. The idea is we just started advertising for that. You can go to the GoEDC website, go-edc.com, and it'll explain what the position is. We're going to do a national search amongst the economic development community and try to find an executive to really carry forward the strategic plan for GoEDC. Secondly, we're also working on a marketing RFP to get a request for proposal to develop a marketing plan. So working with the new director to develop marketing plan, how are we going to market out externally as well as internally to make people aware of GoEDC and how we can be successful in the community.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like you're making a lot of progress within the GoEDC group. And when are you hoping to fill that position by? We
hope to fill the position that the person will start January 1/15.
Excellent.
And GoEDC, again, is the Greater Oshkosh Economic Development Corporation. So we're real excited that it's for the entire area.
Yes, and then our last item on here is a future item of discussion is the sex offender workshop on September 30th at 5 p.m. What is this workshop going to exist of?
Well, the council had asked that we had a presentation by some folks from the state about how they process sex offenders and relocate them into the community. Council really wants to know about what options are there to regulate that, because there's been concern about sex offenders being concentrated in certain areas.
Right.
And so we want to take a look at what other communities are doing, the pros and cons of the different policy options that the council has to say how much do we want to regulate, how much should we regulate, and this will give an opportunity for council to really take a look at the entire spectrum of options that are available to regulate sex offenders and the placement of them in our community. I think it's an important discussion that we have.
Yeah, so again, September 30th at 5 p.m., and that I believe will also be broadcast on City Cable 10 Live. So that's going to conclude our episode of City Manager's Report. Mark, thanks as always for joining me today. Again, the City Council meeting is this Tuesday, September 9th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on City Cable 10 or online, oshkoshcommunitymedia.org. Or you can also listen to it at 101.9 WOCT, which is now available online and on the TuneIn Radio app. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all your community and government programming and updates. Or you can also check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. And don't forget, if you have a question for Mark, you can send it to questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.